All right, we are here with Quick Smile, and we're going to do a quick demonstration of the basic keeper skills and handler skills that we expect people to know in our training classes, or that people learn. So the first thing that we start with is teaching the horses how to respond to their halter. So we call that halter buttons. So I will show you, and Quick Smile is already a mare that's pretty sensitive to this, but I'm training her from the beginning to learn that when I pull forward on the halter and she gets pressure on her pole, to move forward. So I'll do that again. When I pull forward, she'll step forward. And I'm also demonstrating pressure and release. So as soon as I put pressure, as soon as she steps forward, I let up. Now I'm going to put pressure on her nose. So there's a button now at the top of her nose that I can put pressure on her nose. And as soon as she backs up, I let up. Putting pressure on her nose, as soon as she backs up, I let up. And especially in the beginning when we're teaching this, we let up the minute the horse takes a step. Now I can have higher expectations for Quick Smile the more that we move on, but for right now that's enough. So that's teaching her pressure on her nose to back up and pressure on top to move forward. So once the horses get really good at it, you want to be able to literally just stand in one place and be able to tell them to back up and come back forward and back up and come back forward. And you can also use that to have them step over poles, which we practice in our class and that kind of thing. Okay, then next is using your body language to signal the horse to move. So when I'm walking, I want to stay so she can see me out of the corner of her eye, and I want to stand about at least a footstep or two away from her so my arm is out like this. Also, we want to hold the rope so that it is not looped around our hands like this, because that's dangerous if she takes off. You want to actually hold the rope so that it is like this, so that if you ever need to, you can just drop the rope and your hand won't be looped up in the middle of it. So then I'm hanging on about here now as I walk forward. To signal her to walk forward, I'm just going to step forward and start walking. She reads my body language and she comes forward with me. And she's licking and chewing because she's having a nice time and we're good friends. So I'm walking forward, and as soon as I straighten up my body, she stops. And then if I lean my full body back and start walking backwards, I actually want her to back up with me. And what you saw is that she didn't back up with me. That was pretty messy looking. But she didn't back up with me, so the next thing I used was the halter button to tell her, when I back up, you need to come with me. So walk forward. Now she's licking and chewing. Now if I square up and I start coming back at her, she already takes a step back. And I can start expecting more and more out of that. The other thing I can do is I can walk her forward like this. And if she's not backing up or she's really pushing into my space, I can actually use my lead rope a little bit here too. And or other training devices if we need it, but at this point, that's her responding to my body language. So again, lean forward, she comes with me, stand up and start going backwards. She should back up out of my space. The other thing I want to say about that is that I have a bubble around me. This is my space, okay? If I start moving at Quick Smile, she should feel like she needs to move her body out of my space. So we really want to teach the horses to respect our space when we're standing right here. Okay, the next things are having control over her shoulders and having control over her hips without being right on top of her. So I'm going to teach her to move her hip when I ask her, disengage her hip. So I'm just going to walk out like this, and I'm going to look at her hip, and Quick Smile is pretty good at this, so she's pretty okay at this. She's not fantastic A+, but she gets the general idea. So again, from a standstill, the first pressure I give is with my eyes. I just step out and I look at her hip, and she already moved her foot over, so I'm going to let up. I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to walk out, and I'm thinking about making a big C shape like this when I come around, so I give her a lot of time to get the right answer. I'm just going to go out looking at her hip, and if she hadn't moved by this point, I would have made a commotion like that until she moved her hips over, and then I let up. So that's how you train it. So again, I start here, I start stepping out. When I get at a certain point and she hasn't moved, then I might stomp my feet or do this. Now Quick Smile is a very sensitive mare. We really love her, but she is very sensitive. So she tends to pin her ears and get a little bit nasty when you get pushy with her. So I, as a trainer, have to think about what other signals can I give her now she's licking and chewing to not stress her out to that degree of wanting to pin her ears at me. So I'm going to walk again this time, and I'm actually not going to stomp my feet at all. I'll just make a commotion with the rope if I need to. But I'm getting these intricate movements with her back feet where she's moving her hips over like that. And it's not beautiful and it's not perfect, but that's why all our horses here are in these training classes so that they can sharpen their skills. Okay, next one is moving her shoulder over. Same idea. I want to be able to look at her shoulder and start moving at her, and that she'll actually move her shoulder over. Again, not beautiful, but she got it. I started walking at her and she stepped over. Still not beautiful. I'm going to try that again from like this angle. So Quick Smile is also a mare who I can't really put my hands on because it makes her very fussy. So, and I can't really stomp my feet because that also makes her fussy. And a lot of people would believe I could just keep fighting that out of her, but I think if I can just come up with another signal for her that doesn't stress her out, then I'll do that. So this time I'm going to look at her shoulder and I'm going to move at her. And I'm going to try to just lay my hand on her like that until she moves over. Same thing again, I'm just going to lay my hand on her until she moves over. So no pinching, nothing like that. I'm just laying my hand on her until she moves over. And what I want her to eventually respond to is that when my body comes at her, she should move over like that. That was good. That was good. So we're going to leave that at that for Quick Smile because she's still learning, but it gives everybody the general idea that that would be the next skill. Next thing is body buttons. So same as the halter buttons, but now I'm giving her buttons on her body. So when I push here, first I'm just going to touch and then I'm going to push until she steps back. She's a mare that I have to be careful with because this starts to make her feel a little bit stressed out if I pinch too much. So all I'm going to do is touch, touch, until she backs up. As soon as she backs up, I let up. Touch, touch, until she backs up. She gets it. It's actually the first time I've ever asked her to do that, and she got it pretty easily. The next button I want to put on her is that if I touch her on the neck or on the shoulder, kind of like what I was just doing, only now I'm not asking her with the body. I'm asking her with my hands. As soon as she moves over, I'll let up. I'm going to push, push. As soon as she steps over, I'm going to let up like that. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here. As soon as I push on her, I'm going to push until she moves her hips over like this. There you go. I thought that that one might make her a little bit mad. So again, I'm going to push. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Okay. Good girl. So the body buttons can go anywhere on the horse. So those were some common spots where if you're holding your horse for the farrier or the vet or whatever, you want to have places that you can touch them on their body to move them around easily. So now we take all of those exercises and we put them to play using various poles and jump standards and whatever we can find around the farm of having control over them. So literally just walking the horses around and asking them to do stuff. And I think the only other one I didn't mention was that we will sometimes fake tie the horses. None of the horses at handler one should be tied to anything, tied down. So we'll just do a fake tie like this where you can hang on to the horse while you brush them like this. And when you brush, you should never go any further back than this cowlick right here. If you're brushing, you should lean back like this and don't go back any further than this to keep out of striking range. And I think that's everything on Keeper and Handler 1. Thank you.